Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you my September book haul. I did purchase 23 books this month, which is quite a few, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get into it so this video isn't incredibly long. For ebooks that I purchased this month, the first one was Crew by Tijan. I know I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but Crew follows Bren, who is a member of a wolf crew. She is the only female in this crew. It's kind of comparable to a gang, and all this crazy dramatic chaos happens. I've actually already read about this book and talked about it more in my wrap-up, but the crew system is kind of like a setup for the high school and how the high school is divided between people who are crew and people who are normal. Things happen that cause tension between the crews and the normals, and things kind of go from there. I also picked up Blood Match and Blood Cure by K.A. Lindy. I did actually already read Blood Match, which is the second book in her Blood Type series. Blood Type, of course, being the first book. This series is like a vampire romance. It follows Raina, who is a human female, and she is living in the society that basically is now run by vampires, and humans are impoverished, and she decides to go to work for this company that matches her up with a vampire, and there she will be the vampire soul food source. She's paired with Beckham, who is one of the leaders of this company, and they do end up falling in love and things go from there. It's a fairly enjoyable series. I really like the cool spit on things. It's kind of it's kind of like a cool dystopian type of twist to a normal vampire romance, so I really do enjoy that. Yeah, so I picked up the last two books in the series this month. I did read book 2. I still have book 3 to get to before finishing the series. I also picked up Accidentally Hitched by Piper Sullivan. This is a book, I think it might be a series, but I picked this one up. It was free on Kindle, so I just kind of grabbed it as an in-between book, and it follows Viana and Nash and plays upon the trope of an accidental marriage where they are at a town thing, and the town performs this special ceremony, and it actually marries them, and they kind of have to figure out their life from there. It was a fairly cute, quick read, and for being a free book, it was fairly decent. I also picked up and read Dirty Headlines by L.J. Shen. It follows Jude, who ends up having a one-night stand with the person who will actually end up being her boss, but not only does she have a one-night stand with him, she also steals his wallet. Lots of humor in the book and all of that. I really did enjoy it. It's definitely an enemies to lovers, employer-employee relationship book, so that's exciting. The final ebook that I picked up this month is called More of You by A.L. Jackson. This is a second chance romance, which is one of my favorite tropes. It follows a woman who, it's I think 10 years down the road. They were high school, kind of sweethearts, and he was the bad boy, and they end up breaking up because he feels he's not good enough for her. They go their separate ways. 10 years down the road, her husband has been recently murdered, and she's struggling to raise their toddler in this house, and there's lots of mysterious aspects to it. I'm really interested in this book. Hopefully I can get to it soon. I did start it, but I haven't gotten far enough in it to really develop an opinion, but I'm excited to read this. A.L. Jackson, I don't think I've ever read it. I've only read a couple of books by her, and they're fairly enjoyable, so I'm curious to see how she does with this mysterious second chance romance. I did pick up The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. This is the second book in her Girl Meets Duke series. This book follows a woman who becomes an accidental governess for two wild orphan girls who are in the care of a duke. I don't know if he's just an heir to a dukedom or if he is a duke in this book, but I'm excited to read this. I did read and enjoy the first book in the series, and that's they're usually full of humor, which is always really nice about historical romances, so I'm really excited to get into this one. For historical romances, I did also pick up The Accidental Duchess by Madeline Hunter. I know nothing about this book. I kind of just grabbed it at a used bookstore because it looked kind of interesting, and I really like the purple and green on the cover. I think it's really pretty. This says that this is a seductive tale of a headstrong young lady, a scandalous manuscript, and the iron-willed duke determined to save her from ruin. So it sounds really interesting. I really enjoy historical fiction romances. They're really easy to get through, and they're all fairly short, so they make for a really good quick read to avoid a reading slump for me, so I'm excited to hopefully get to this. And probably one of my most exciting purchases is The Duke with the Dragon Tattoo by Kerrigan Byrne. This is a part of her Highwaymen series. love these books. I'm currently reading book 2 and enjoying it very much, but this is a later book in the series. I don't know if it's number 4 or 5, maybe even later, I'm not sure, but this one is, they all kind of follow men who are like below the law. They all kind of follow like rebels and the women that they fall in love with. I really enjoy these books. This one particularly is about the Rook and Lorelai, who I'm sure we see, you know, like pieces of them in previous books. I haven't honestly come across them yet, but I'm so excited to read this. Her books are so good. They're so like empowering also for women. Like the women in them just aren't like simpering misses. They actually are really, really important parts of the story, so I'm really excited to get to this book. Decided to pick up The Darkest Kiss by Gina Showalter. I picked this up at my local half price, and I got it in fairly good condition. There's like some wear and tear on the cover, but I don't really mind that for a mass market paperback. This is the second book in her Lords of the Underworld series. I did recently read book 1 a couple of months ago, and I didn't have book 2, so I thought I would pick it up so that I could continue on with the series. This one, I believe, yeah, this one follows Lucian and Anya, who you do kind of meet in the first book, and it's like a forbidden romance, and it kind of goes from there. I'm really excited to read this one. Hopefully I can get to this month. I'm not sure. It's a series that I'm really interested in and continuing on with, and seeing where it goes. For a buddy read I will be doing this month, I also picked up You by Caroline Kepnes. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing her last name wrong. This is like a mystery thriller. It's like a man meets a woman when she's like comes into his bookstore, and he takes her name off of her credit card and then like begins like virtually stalking her on social media. And I think that they end up like meeting up, and there might be some sort of a romance, but then there's also like murder hinted at this. So I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but I'm excited to get into it. This is the one with like the Lifetime cover because it is a Lifetime TV series now. So if I like the book, then hopefully I will continue on with watching the show. I've heard really good things about this. Next, while browsing half price, I picked up 2 books. I picked up The Professional by Cressley Cole and The Master by Cressley Cole. I had read, I think it was called The Player or something like that, another book in the series. These are all like in a trilogy series, but you can read them as companion novels. They're following 3 Russian brothers, I believe, and they're kind of like in like the mafia type of setting, and they're fairly good books. They're really quick reads, definitely new adult, kind of like smutty romance, which is always really great if you're looking to avoid like a reading slump. These types of books really help me out, so I went ahead and picked them up. I was kind of excited because someone had tabbed this one previously, so that part, so that'll be exciting. That's why tabbing is always really nice. It's really fun to be able to like connect with other readers on books. I did grab Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows. This book I am actually currently reading. I'm 141 pages into it. I'm enjoying it for what it is. This follows Mira, who lives in the Fallen Isles, and the Fallen Isles are made up of like these multiple islands that all are kind of like distinguished by a certain trait. Something happens that Mira ends up in prison, and things kind of go from there. She's forced to kind of like figure out who she is and how she can grow and adapt and become stronger in this new environment that she's in. I'm really interested in this book. Like I said, I've already partway into it, so hopefully I can finish it this month of October. And also very exciting is I got in a pre-order of V.E. Schwab's second book in her Vicious series called Vengeful. This is, I don't know if it's a companion book or a direct sequel. I'm sure somebody will correct me down below. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which is signed, and it has like a bonus special story in it. So that's always exciting. I have not read Vicious yet, but I really want to, so I went ahead and I pre-ordered Vengeful so that I could read them back to back and enjoy the story like all in a line. I love V.E. Schwab, so I'm sure that this one won't disappoint. Did also order Jet by Jay Crownover this month. This is the second book in her Marked Men series. I had read Rule like years ago, but I am going to a signing in a couple of months where Jay Crownover will be there, so I thought I would pick up another book of hers and read it so that I can maybe get it signed. Jet says Jet Keller is every girl's rock and roll fantasy, but Aiden Cross is done walking on the wild side with bad boys. So I feel like that's probably like the trope it's gonna follow, is falling for the bad boy, but we'll see how it goes. This is a fairly, I mean, I really did enjoy Rule, and Jet I think has like so-and-so reviews, so I'm excited to get into it and see how I feel about it. I also picked up this month Sweet Filthy Boy by Christina Lauren. This is the first book in her Wild Season series. I did actually already read this book for Contemporary-thon. Kind of like, these books are like kind of like a what happens in Vegas, you know, story. Every couples actually like, you know, kind of meet on a dime and then they end up getting married after a drunken night in Vegas, and it kind of goes from there. This one in particular follows Mia and Ansel, and Mia ends up following Ansel to France and kind of spends her summer there in France, and then kind of comes to the reality of, you know, going to school to further her education or what she's going to do about her marriage to Ansel. It's really cute, very sweet romance, definitely smutty. It's early Christina Lauren, so it's very smutty, which is, it was great, I thought. So I did pick up this one, and I love the orange cover. It's so bright. It looks so nice on the shelf. I also did pre-order and pick up The Caged Queen by Kirsten Ciccarelli, and this is the companion novel to The Last Namsara, part of the Iskari series. The cool thing about this world in general, I have not read The Last Namsara yet, but they do have dragons in them, which is always really cool. It says, once there were two sisters born with a bond so strong that when they were angry, mirrors shattered, and when they were happy, flowers bloomed. Roa and Essie called this magic the hum, and it forged them together until a terrible accident took Essie's life and trapped her decaying soul in this world. So it sounds really interesting. It sounds like sisterhood's gonna probably play a big role in this book, which is really great. I love my sister, so it makes me want to read books about sisters, so hopefully I can get to this one soon. Got Nightblood by Ellie Blake. This is the final book in her Frostblood series. I'm really excited to read this. I actually have not read Frostblood at all, but I had a credit at Books A Million, and I thought, why not just pick this up, because I do own the first two books in the series and now the third, so that I can maybe just like marathon read them as it comes into like the winter time. I think reading fantasy books is like perfect. The Frostblood series, as far as I know, is like a typical like fantasy series where the Frostbloods kind of rule the world, and then this girl ends up being a Fireblood, so she has the magic of fire and she has to like kind of hide out in this world. I don't really know how it all plays out, but I've heard good things about this series, and I follow the author on social media and she seems so sweet and nice, so I thought it would be great to pick this book up and support her, and hopefully I can get them read soon. I also picked up at my local half price Two Dark Reigns by Kendara Blake. This is the third book in her Three Dark Crowns series, which I own all the books in the series. I just haven't read them yet, but I picked them up because I find the signed copies, and I know that like this is such a popular series and I'm sure that I will enjoy it when I pick it up, so I just wanted to grab the signed copy while I could. I think most people probably know what this story is about. It follows three sisters who are forced to like fight each other for the crown to become the queen and the ruler of their country, and I'm really interested to see about it. Hopefully I will get to these books soon. I really want to. I love their simplistic covers. They're so pretty, and it's just so exciting to finally like have the trilogy. I think there might be another one coming out in the series. I'm not 100% certain, but yes. Next, I picked up a book I've been considering buying for a while, and that is Circe by Madeline Miller. This is like, I think it's considered a companion novel to The Song of Achilles, which is like, and they're kind of like, I think, historical retellings. I don't know much about them. I've seen them everywhere, and like inside the book is so pretty. This one says, in the house of Helios, god of the sun and the mightiest of Titans, a daughter is born, but Circe is a strange child, not obviously powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power, the power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes her to a deserted island where she hones her occult craft, tames wild beasts, and crosses paths with many of the most famous figures in all mythology, including the Minotaur, Daedalus, and his doomed son, Icarius, the murderous Medea, and of course, wily Odysseus. So I'm really excited to get into these books. I've heard such good things about The Song of Achilles and Circe also. I might wait to read this one though. Some people have told me to read The Song of Achilles first if I'm really interested, so I just haven't been able to find that in hardcover lately, so once I do get that, then I will probably pick up this one and read them. I'm really interested in them, and I love the cover, so I'm excited to have it on my shelf. And last, but certainly not least, I did go ahead and pick up Sherilyn Kenyon's Stygian. This is, I think they're all considered companion novels, kind of like in the same series, but this is the third book in like her Acheron, Styx, and now Stygian series. They're all spin-offs from the They're all a part of the Dark Hunter novels. I actually haven't read the Dark Hunter novels. I've only read Acheron and Styx, which is like within that same world. But I wanted to get this one because it was the Walmart exclusive and it is signed with a bonus scene, and Acheron is like one of my favorite books of all time. And so I really wanted to pick this up to be able to read it. I don't know much about it. It just says Acheron brought us war, Styx brought us redemption, and Stygian illuminates the darkness. So I'm excited to read this. It's a big book though, so hopefully I can get to it soon. Yeah, it's like 656 pages, so this one will probably take me a while to read, but I do enjoy the world that she set up with those 3. I'm just curious to see how it all connects. This is gonna be dangerous. So this is my September this is my September haul, and they're all fine, but I will see you guys next month with another haul. Hopefully I can get these books picked up and read soon.